and I think he's ready to roll. We got part-time crowd referee, and I think he might have seen this, that I called him that on Twitter. Part-time crowd referee, full-time beauty from Bardown. We got Luca Celebre coming in here. Luca, welcome into the show, buddy. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Anytime, thanks. Yeah, part-time ref is pretty accurate. Not anymore, but you know what, my reffing days are fun. I'd like to go back to them every now and then.
But I was even suggesting maybe the crowd referees when you guys were in the crowd in the playoffs and in the big outdoor crowds. That was a fun time. Can you go into what went into that decision and like the planning meetings for that? How did that go?
Honestly, we were just like, wouldn't it be funny if we would ref like at the square? And me and Eric, who also was the other ref, like we actually refed minor hockey for a number of years. So we had the jerseys, we had the whistles, the helmet, we know all the calls and can actually do it pretty accurately. So we're just like, okay, let's do it, and tried it out, and it was funny, and just kept trying to like one up it every single game, which got hard after I think the third year we did it or the second year we did it. So I'm happy we had maybe a couple of years off with the pandemic. So now we've had some time to refresh, and I don't know if they're going to bring back the square, but if they do, we've had a couple of years to kind of think of some new ideas and make it a little better than what it was.
I feel like that's a pretty good work environment where you can say, wouldn't it be funny if we did this? And then you go do it and it's a big piece of content and everybody loves it. I mean, that's a pretty awesome thing. And we'll get into it, Bardown. We're going to talk to you about Bardown and its origins and in itself a little bit later on. But let's talk about your origins a little bit, if you don't mind, Luca. I dug a little bit today.
I love it.
I was watching your video with Milt Stiegel from the Grey Cup, and I saw the little highlight pack from your all-star high school days in King City, Ontario.
So
I checked it out and I was watching it. Pretty good stuff.
Not bad.
Yeah. So I guess King City, Ontario, and you're an Avalanche fan, I guess is where I'm kind of going with this. How did that all start? Because I know the guys and girls give you a hard time on Bardown, but where did that all start, I guess? And how did that become a thing in King City, Ontario, of all places?
It came a thing because I guess the first sport I ever played was soccer. I'm Italian, so my dad, like any Italian dad probably does with their son, put them in soccer immediately. And I moved to Nobleton, which is close to King City, small town. Every small town plays hockey. That's the thing in Canada. It's not, soccer isn't a dominant sport. And I, before moving to Nobleton, lived in a predominantly Italian area where everyone plays soccer. So decided to give skating a try, and that's when I started to become a fan of hockey. Really didn't have a team, and my cousin, who's a Leafs fan, my cousin David, he also loved watching the Avalanche back in the day when it was Joe Sakic and Peter Forsberg and Tanguay and Hayduk, Foote, Blake, Waugh, all these incredible players. And so it was easy for me to just sit with him, watch a game, and Joe Sakic was kind of the first person I fell in love with as a hockey fan. He was my favorite player, and I loved the Avs jerseys that they had, and it seemed like an easy team to cheer for. So that's kind of it. The Leafs, my dad wasn't a Leafs fan, and my mom wasn't either. A lot of my cousins are, but I really didn't have like a parental figure being like, you know what, I'm a Leafs fan, you got to be one too. So thank my dad for not being a Leafs fan, and I kind of just latched onto the Avalanche, and that's how that fandom kind of started.
I like that. I was going to make the connection between the three of us here. So Max is a Predators fan.
Okay.
I'm a Leafs fan now, but I started as a Ducks fan. I mean,
okay,
who wasn't a closet Ducks fan back in the day with the movies and everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously with you being an Avs fan, we all have something in common, and that's Paul Kariya, because he's stopped on all three of our favorite teams. Max got the bobblehead up there.
Got a couple of bobbleheads. He was my guy, so to say.
Incredible. Incredible.
The broken stick just does it for me, Max. You tape the stick together so it stayed on there. I love that.
Man. Yeah, I had to have that one go. Absolutely.
That's amazing. Yeah. I remember that year too. The Avs got Teemu Selanne, and like they just loaded up on legendary players and didn't win, but it was, I just forget that happened sometimes, where they got Kariya, Selanne, and had all of these other Hall of Fame guys.
Yeah, unbelievable year. I was even a bit of a fan too, because my good buddy Austin Andrews was a goalie, and his thing was Patrick Waugh, and he wanted to be an Avs a goalie for the Avalanche when he grew up, but neither of those things happened either. But no, it was a fun era for hockey. It really was, especially that loaded up Avalanche team, and that was fun. But Max, I know The reason we reached out to Luca in the first place was because
here we go.
Well, we're gonna let you go a little bit here, Luca, because we want
the entire floor will be yours, Luca.
Okay.
I'm gonna let Max take over here because this is the reason we reached out.
Well, and you know what, Luca, and this is funny, actually, the way that our dynamic works is I'm the graphics guy, right? I'm the guy that puts the stuff together for the socials. And sometimes the graphics department can blow you up in ways that you never imagined possible. But with that being said, it was a bit of a hot take city last week, or at least that's how the graphic portrayed it to be. Mitch Marner is the most, I forget the exact words of it. And again, we'll let you have the floor to get to it, but possibly the most underrated star in all of hockey. Was that just kind of, I guess, maybe minced words? Was that the exact words? Either way, let's get the take and the reasoning behind it. The floor is yours, good sir.
Yeah, so on the Bardown podcast, we were talking about underrated players, but specifically star players in hockey. And so that is the quote. And obviously, like, the headline of it is a very hot take. And if that's all people are seeing on Twitter, I totally get it. And like, I get it myself. It's a wild thing to say when you're talking about a guy, and I get the arguments against it. That's plays in Toronto, so much media coverage. He's making $11 million or just under $11 million a season. So there's those expectations when you are a star player. And the playoff thing is also a thing where it's like he hasn't performed as well as his regular season play in the playoffs, and you get paid to perform in the playoffs. I totally understand that. I think my thing with this whole argument is more so that, like, I guess what I want to say and what I didn't say on the podcast too, for anyone that did listen to it, was like, I think he gets forgotten about because of the negative perception that Leafs fans have of him and the criticism for just specifically the playoff thing. But I think Leafs fans in particular are mad about the contract thing and how that all played out. And so I think there's definitely some, like, ill will towards him. Like, he's playing great and they love him when he's playing great, but I think even now everyone's just like, well, let's see it in the playoffs. I don't care what he does now. Same thing isn't said about Austin Matthews, who only scored 1 goal against Montreal last year in a 7-game series. So I mean, I just don't like that kind of, hey, it can be one way for one guy, another way for another guy. And I totally get it. People have their biases, people have their opinions. I'm totally fine with every one of those, but I just think that the negative perception people have of him underrates how good he is, and maybe how good he is as far as like how others outside of Toronto view him. Because a lot of people from Toronto replied to that tweet and were like, he gets talked about all the time. And I'm like, I get that. I totally do. But if I'm in Columbus, Ohio, and I'm hearing about the Toronto Maple Leafs, I'm probably only hearing about Austin Matthews. And if I go on Twitter, I'm seeing all these Leaf fans saying Mitch Marner sucks and we want to trade him for a bag of pucks, basically, because he doesn't score in the playoffs. And I'm just like, no, he's probably closer to like a top 15 or 10 player in hockey because of how good defensively he is, how good offensively he is. And then just his creativity is beyond anything. I kind of think, I think it's reserved for really special players in hockey. I think he's a really good playmaker, and that, I mean, I get it. If you want to call him overpaid, fine. I mean, what if he takes $2 million less? I don't think the Leafs are a better team. Like, who are you going to sign for $2 million that is going to really make this team a Stanley Cup team or put them over the edge? So that's where I kind of am like, you know what? The money is the money. You got paid it. He does have to perform in the playoffs, and so I'll cave on that part of the argument. But I guess my whole argument is just, and this is a long-winded answer of saying, I think the negative perception surrounding him, the negative perception surrounding him makes me think he's underrated to people that may not watch him a lot or may just hear about the Toronto Maple Leafs because that's all they hear about, and maybe don't watch him enough to appreciate how complete of a player he is, because so many people are at the end of the year just being like, trade this guy. Like, we can't win with him. He's not good enough. And it's just like, why would you trade one of the 15 best players in hockey? Who are you getting back that is going to be better or on par that's going to help you win a Stanley Cup? I get it that they've had the shortcomings, but I guess that's where my argument is. And so nothing will get solved until he does well in the playoffs.
If I can step in here for a sec.
Absolutely.
He's also a very good penalty killer, leads the team in forward penalty kill time on ice.
Yep.
Just saying. And B, you know, a good way to make all that go away is lead the league in scoring for a few months, which he has. And that usually just kind of goes away. I'm talking about the negative fan base, the negative internal fan base talk. Let's stay on that topic for a bit. Who are a couple other guys? And I know we hear like Barkov and Huberdeau all the time because nobody talks about Florida enough. But who are some of the other guys maybe around the league that could be in a similar conversation? Underrated guys who deserve more attention.
I think if we're talking like stars, we brought up Brad Marchand on the podcast as well, and that's who Corbin was talking about. And I think it's a good one. I think like him too, as far as the perception goes, like, yeah, it's all the antics and stuff like that, but he truly is one of the, you could argue, like 5 or 6 best players in hockey. And like points, I think we looked it up in the last 4 seasons, like only 3 other players have more points than he does. So, I mean, the production's been there. This 6-year stretch he's kind of had is incredible. I think a guy defensively that I look at that is playing in Dallas is Miro Heiskanen. And I think he's kind of getting forgotten in the Norris conversation, maybe because the point production isn't there. And let's face it, like the Norris is, okay, if you put up a crazy amount of points, you're probably going to win it. And if you're also good defensively, like that helps too. I think he's really good defensively and the point production isn't there. But like I'd say he's right up there with Hedman and Fox and Makar for sure. I don't know about Huberdeau. Like, I think he's really good. I don't know if he's like underrated. I feel like Barkov's an interesting one because they always do the player polls and it's like, who's the most underrated? And every year it's him. And so I don't know how you can be like the most underrated every single year. So that really doesn't make sense to me. But those are a couple of guys off the top of my list as far as star players that I think deserve
I got
more
the
attention.
answer for us though, Luca. I think I do. It's the guy that lives the absolute furthest south from Toronto in the league. That's where it is, right? So Alexander Barkov, right? Whoever lives just out of the epicenter, right? That's who's going to get the most attention for most underrated, right?
That makes sense.
And then I guess 2 other things just to kind of go back on that conversation. Mm-hmm. One, I mean, this is something for, I guess, maybe all of us could understand. I mean, let's be honest, if you have a mustache, you're going to skate under the wind a little bit, right? I mean, it's Philip Forsberg in Nashville. Guy gave a game away the other day. Nobody's even talking about it, right? It's as a result, sometimes you just got to have a good stash. Austin has that. Maybe Mitch wears a little bit of that animosity because he doesn't quite have that. But the other thing, I guess,
I don't think he physically can do that.
and again, right, $11 million. Maybe he's got to grow a stash. I don't know. I'm just saying, it is what it is.
Yeah, there's got to be some sort of cream out there that could help the hair growth or something, right?
There's something.
He's got to get on that.
And I guess the last part of it too, Luca, and again, this was the conversation that Clark and I had when we saw the take, right? And again, thank you very much for joining us tonight. This is awesome. We're pleasure. Super excited to have the conversation. But when you're in the game that you're in, especially when it becomes an occupation, and again, it generates conversation, right? Regardless of whatever the take is, it's something that generates a ton of conversation within the hockey community. And ultimately, isn't that what we want, especially at this time of the year, when you're talking about pivotal moves that are going to be the difference between a first or second or third round exit and potentially hoisting the 30-pound silver trophy at the end of the year? These are the kind of conversations that are really fun to have. So again, regardless of whatever the backlash is or whatever it is, it generates conversation. And if we're being really honest, if you get beyond the surface level fans of the game, which are fantastic fans to have, you got to kind of be in the game a while. Anybody understands that there is 31 teams in this league that would take the contract and take everything that Mitch Marner brings in his game. And I think that was the second thing I said to Clark after I said, underrated, what?
Can I quote you on that, Max? Right? Can we get that in writing somewhere so that I can like bring this up in conversation next time?
I blacked out for a second. You coached me on something? That was that? Anyways, Luca, that again, right? It's fantastic. Again, getting back to the Bardown side of things, right? A lot of people, especially maybe again the guys in the top couple bars of this show here, a lot of us would say you've got a dream gig, right? Hockey content creator with one of the preeminent companies in the country. Would you say that it does fall under that description of dream job for somebody like yourself?
Definitely. And like I when work gets busy, we all have our gripes with whatever job we work at. But at the end of the day, I take a step back and be like, you know what? I saw my dad get up at 1 a.m. every morning to go work at the Ontario food terminal. And that's what he did for his career. And it's so I'm just like, I could be doing that. Like if I wasn't doing this, I could be doing that. The only things I've been passionate about in my life are sports and writing and talking about it. And so the fact that I get to do that every single day, like every job has its ups and downs and things that anyone can complain about, but it's like it's a dream job. I get to talk about sports and hockey specifically. I'm also a huge football fan, so I enjoyed the football conversation before, and I'm a Broncos fan. So today has been a wild ride for me. Yeah, today's been a wild ride.
Let's get into that.
I'm happy to. But yeah, I like it's a dream job. I cannot complain at all because I get to do it, and I love the team that we have. Like that makes the job the most rewarding. And I say it to everyone. It's just the people I work with. We are really such a tight knit group, and it never really feels like work with them. Like it's just fun. It's just something I would do with my friends, and like they truly are some of my best friends in the entire world. So it just makes it. That's like the cherry on top of it all.
That's awesome.
Speaking of your team, Connor Anderson's here saying Jesse doesn't have dust ball.
He's got to be numb to that at this point. Hey, dust ball is just like,
I think that's a compliment at this point,
right?
Yeah, he invites it all. He loves all the chirps, to be honest.
over on my TikTok live stream, Grit Grinder says, "Tell Luca he's a squid," and then dropped a bunch of squid emojis. So there you go.
Fair enough.
Put that in there. Max, you had a question about their beer league team, and I really want to get into that. So I'll let Max take over here, but I just wanted to go there next.
Oh, for sure. And a daily conversation that Clark and I like to have too, right? In content generation ideas, right? On a much smaller scale compared to yourself. We just want to know, are you guys that team in the beer league? You know, like that one where when Jesse's wearing his phone on his visor, peel the iron curtain back. Is he actually doing that for the 60-minute Jets tilt? Or is that like a one shift, peel it off? You know, it's for the memes, so to say.
It depends with him. Sometimes it is full game. Sometimes it isn't, but he'll have that phone right on the bench with him and miss a shift because he's watching the Jets play. So with him, nothing is off limits. Like I'm never surprised anymore. It's just like, I'm going to do this. Okay, go for it. I get it. You do your thing. So he is just whatever comes into his mind in a hockey arena, he will do. And it's awesome. It's very funny to watch play out and see how other teams react to it. Like this weekend, the ref immediately was just like, you can't do that. And he talked his way into doing it. And he did it for a shift and then took it off because the ref was not going to let him do it any longer. But he talked his way into at least doing it for a shift. So that just says all you need to know.
Just had to see Kyle Connor snipe one real quick and then good to
exactly.
go focus on the game, right?
Yep. Exactly.
One of my favorite ones was the one where you guys messed with all of his gear. I think he like put weights or like water in his stick or something like that. That was epic because just every little thing. If I'm getting this correct, was it Corwin? Who was it? Jesse? Do you remember this one I'm talking about?
Yes, it was. I think it was the first one we ever did. Actually, it was the pranks one. Yeah, and we just played every prank in the book on him. Tabasco sauce in the water bottle, water in his stick. I think water, tape on the skates, all the good stuff.
So good.
I got one more. Sorry, Clark. Before we transition,
I was going to continue on it, but go ahead. I think we have the same page here.
Same page for sure. You got to tell me about the burger game. The burger game was just absolutely legendary in terms of content. Like that's captivating. You start that, you can't stop finishing until the end. You got to know what's happening. Like, did you guys really know what you were getting yourselves into at that point, or did it feel as bad as it looked?
Oh, it felt as bad as it looked. I think we thought like, okay, you know what? McDonald's burgers might be easy. Like they're kind of small. We could do it. But by the time you get to the fourth one, they all just taste the same and it tastes gross. And I feel like this is anything with food. It's just like when you have the same thing in a short amount of time and just too much of it, like it's not going to be enjoyable. And so by the seventh burger, it was just absolutely disgusting. And like we wanted no part of it anymore because it did not feel good playing that hockey game. It took a while to even just not feel so heavy on the ice because that's what it was. It was just like a heaviness playing, and then you'd come off the bench and just feel like you're going to throw up. It was rough.
I can just imagine. So one thing that talk about Bardown again, you've been there since pretty much the beginning, if I'm not mistaken, like right when it kind of launched, you were part of the original crew. What's it been like to kind of grow with that team and see how Bardown has gone from step one to where it is today? What are some of the biggest accomplishments that you guys have had over your time there?
Yeah, I think I came, so originally there were 3 members of the team. And then I think a year and a half, maybe 2 years after that was when I interned. And kind of came along. But yeah, I think honestly, the fact that like our brand is associated with hockey culture in general is pretty incredible. And getting to that point has been really cool. Like when you think of hockey, whether it's now we're doing like stuff with the CHL, it's not just NHL anymore. It's not just CHL, it's women's hockey as well. And so the fact that we can be this hockey culture and just embedded into it, I think is really impressive. And I think it speaks to the growth that we have. So I'm definitely very proud of that. But also the fact that we do a lot of other things too. Like I've gotten to go to the Super Bowl twice and cover stuff for TSN Social and Bardown, which is awesome. The Grey Cup video you mentioned with Milt Stiegel, like we get to support those properties that TSN has and do it in a really fun and unique way like we do with hockey. And yeah, maybe it doesn't do as well like numbers wise as hockey because Canada loves hockey and that's fine, but we're trying new things and different things to make those sports more popular in our own country and create a different culture around them. And so I think that's what I'm definitely most proud of is like our brand is associated with hockey culture, and it never gets old when like little kids just come up to you and recognize you and be like, you know what, like you got me into hockey, or like you see those messages come through. Like that's a really like humbling thing to have someone say, you know what, like I like hockey because I liked watching your stuff and got more into it and felt safe enough to come into hockey culture and be a fan of a team and interact with you guys. Like it's a really cool responsibility. And so growing the game is definitely one of the things I pride our group on, and just one of the things I've looked back on our time in Bardown and being really proud of.
That's awesome. And listen, if you want to keep making videos where you're getting burned by former CFL receivers, I'll watch it every time.
Sounds good to me. I'm definitely into that.
You got at least one view on every video you make.
That's all I need.
So you mentioned the CHL broadcast. As a former employee with the Regina Pats, it's been super cool to see you guys jump into junior hockey. And clearly everyone there is super passionate about junior hockey. We're in Canada, of course. So what's it been like to go from the quiz couch to behind a desk at TSN for CHL broadcast? Like, how's that kind of gone? And, has it been what you kind of expected? Has it been more than that? Explain that process.
Yeah, it's been awesome. I think it's been a real learning and growing experience for all of us. A lot of us haven't done live TV before. I was fortunate enough to be able to do some live TV during Grey Cup coverage. And so that was like a great kind of first thing for me. But for Jesse, like he had never done live TV until the CHL broadcast. For Corwin, I don't know if he had done live stuff before the CHL broadcast. And Z is doing Sports Center, so he's kind of used to that. But it's really cool to see our team kind of get this opportunity and grow with it. And I think just talk about hockey in a different way than people breaking down the game would. And so maybe it's from a younger perspective, or just a different, maybe not a younger perspective, just a different perspective of like, maybe we're not so much X's and O's, but we're noticing just a guy's tape job that we want to talk about, and the style on the ice, or just a fun way to talk about the game we're seeing that's a little different than what you would normally get during an intermission. So I think we're still trying different things with it, and it's awesome that we have the opportunity to try different things and grow junior hockey, because it's awesome. I was at a Peterborough Pete's game on Saturday with my girlfriend and a couple of friends, and it was 2,500 people, and it was awesome. Like, it was a small town, just everyone there to watch the Pete's, and like the atmosphere was great. The arena was really cool. It felt really like comforting, and just, I don't know what it was. It just had like a magical feeling to it. And I think like if we can shed light on that all across the country, I'm sure there are so many great small towns and towns that are passionate about CHL hockey that don't have an NHL team. That's really cool. I think that deserves more coverage and more love. And I'd love to find ways, and we love to find ways to kind of do that in a unique way.
It's been cool to see. Absolutely. So keep doing that, because you're doing a good thing.
Thank you.
If you want to take a question from our intern, Alan, he's watching. He's no longer our intern, but I'm always going to call him that. He says, "Hey, Luca, how did it feel to interact with Kenny Omega?"
Oh, nice. Alan is a wrestling fan, I'm assuming. It was wild. I'm a huge wrestling fan. It's cool that TSN has AEW, because I love AEW wrestling specifically as well. So that was a surreal feeling. And the fact that like Jesse had no idea who he was, so I think that made it even better. And the fact that both of them were from Winnipeg, like immediately just broke down the barrier and like Jesse was chirping him and I was on his side, and it was just perfect. It couldn't have gone better. And he was such a cool dude. Like, I want to do more stuff with wrestlers if we can, but that was like a really cool first one. And yeah, he was awesome. He was like just amazing. I'm so like, I forget that happens sometimes, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
So
Max,
Luca, maybe just a couple. Staying on the fan train side of things,
Mhm.
talked a lot of shop tonight, a lot of fun things on the practical side. But let's appeal to the sports fans and each other here.
Let's do it.
One, thank you very much for Von Miller. Greatly appreciated. His contributions were certainly welcome. It was a fantastic run. I guess
Max doesn't like flaunting that the Rams won the Super Bowl.
No, I don't know. It was kind of a big deal. I thought it was fine. It was a fun time. I enjoyed it. I lost my voice for a few days. It was great. But getting back, I guess, again, burying the lead, now knowing that you are a diehard Denver Broncos fan, I can only assume, just with your passion for the Avs, that you follow the Broncos just as closely.
Oh, yeah.
One, you get the guy today. You get the quarterback that you've been longing for since Peyton Manning. What does Russell Wilson bring to you guys? It could be Super Bowl contender. It could just be contending in that gauntlet of an AFC with all the quarterbacks in your own division, let alone just the entire conference. Russell Wilson, maybe Von Miller again. We know he's got Instagram. Maybe he's coming back. Is that what you guys need to be the team in the AFC in a loaded AFC?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was happy to see Vaughn win it. I was so happy that not only that we traded, because he deserved better than what we've given him since Peyton left, but the fact that we traded him to the Rams, like, got a couple picks back, which ultimately helped us get Russ today, which was really nice. Like, I feel like the trade package was big, and like the amount of things that they gave up, sure, but I think having that extra second round pick actually just helped smooth it over, because not only do they have that second now this year, they've got 2/3 and 2/4. And so it's just like, they still have a lot of picks. They still have a lot of ways to make this team really good. And if you were going to take a quarterback at 9, I'd rather have Russell Wilson than any of them. So scrap that first round pick. That's okay. Like, we got Russell Wilson. So yeah, I don't know if we're ready to compete, but I think that this roster is good enough to at least be way better than we've been since Peyton Manning left. And that's all I think Broncos fans have wanted. I'm also happy that the Drew Lock era is finally over, because I'm tired of arguing with people on Twitter that actually think he is still a viable option to be like a franchise quarterback. And I'm just like, no, like we've seen enough of him. He lost out a job to Teddy Bridgewater, and that's all I need to know. Like, if the coaching staff didn't trust that Lock was head and shoulders above Teddy Bridgewater, that's all you need to know. So I love the move. I know the picks are a lot, but they have a lot of money in free agency still, so they can improve their roster there. It's weird to think that he's probably the third best quarterback in the division, but you know what? That's the AFC. He wanted to come to Denver and compete. I love that. I love that mindset. So let's get going, Russ. I'm really excited. I don't think I've been this excited since they won the Super Bowl.
Jersey's on order, right?
Yeah.
Not yet, but it might be soon.
My man, Max, I'll let you jump in here, but my man Stoobs over on TikTok says Jerry Judy's fantasy stock just skyrocketed. Oh, yeah.
Way up. Cortland Sutton, Jerry Judy, Albert O. I'm not even going to try and pronounce his last name. Our tight end now that is stepping in because Noah Fant's gone. Like, everyone, stock up on everyone.
And who's going to be that value free agent that pops over, for a cheap price to come play with Russ,
Exactly.
I think Von Miller might take a hometown discount to go back.
I think he might too.
Russ Wilson too.
Either way,
nice. And you know what, Luca? It's funny. I was telling this to another buddy who happens to be a Denver Broncos fan. Isn't it the rarest thing in sports where no team loses a trade, truly, ultimately, right? Like the Rams get Von Miller. He helps greatly contribute to a Super Bowl. You guys get the picks that you need to get a franchise quarterback for at least likely the next 5, 6, 7 years. Like, it truly is one of those things that it's a rare thing in sports, but it's a great one. Once again, man, thanks so much for your time tonight. I know we got like 2 more quick ones here. I got to lead off my Avs question though with a bit of a story, because as Clark alluded to, we have the Paul Correa connection back. I believe it was the 03-04 season. I swear, if Patrick Waugh didn't retire and David Abisher wasn't in net, that would have been the year. It really would have. But I remember this. My family back in the day, we didn't have a ton of cash or nothing, but it was, you know what? We're going on the yearly trip to Calgary to watch the Flames and the Avs and Paul Correa and Timu Solani and Milan Hayduk, Joe Sakic, Peter Ford.
For those who don't know, we're in Saskatchewan.
So sorry, yes, that's right.
At the time, Winnipeg didn't have a team, so
okay, fair enough.
Yeah, there we go.
Exactly.
Just draw that. Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, connect those dots. Right, that's right. Anyways, so we're loading up. We go to the game. Parents buy some tickets. This is great. This is awesome. Korea's out with a wrist injury. Okay. Solani. Oh, he's got a bum knee. He might play like 8 minutes tonight. And so I remember that game very vividly. So we go, and it's a 1-0 game. Peter Worrell scores off his ass for a 1-0 Avalanche win in Calgary.
Let's go.
So my question is, Luca, in your fandom as a Colorado Avalanche fan, who is your favorite most obscure Colorado Avalanche player of all time that isn't in the upper echelon? Who's the guy?
love this question. I really like this question. So I think Milan Hajduk probably doesn't get like the respect he deserves as like a really, really good Avalanche player. I think he's too like well known though for me to pick him as an answer. So I'll go with a different one. Marek Spatos. I always played with him in the old NHL games because right-handed shot. He was pretty fast, had some nice dangles. Yeah, he was. So I feel like I wish his production was a little better in real life, but I feel like he had some good seasons. He had some decent seasons, and he was fun to watch. So if we're going obscure, I think it would be him, maybe like a Dan Highnote. I really remember him for some reason. I'm not sure why.
Right now, I love Dan Highnote. Yeah,
there you go.
Stuff.
John Michael Lyles on defense. Yeah. I played defense, and he was always just a great offensive defenseman. And I got to meet him in St. Louis just very briefly when we were there for All-Star weekend. He was super nice, and he does the Avs broadcast now from his wine cellar, which I always find very funny. So those are some obscure ones, but I love that question.
Great.
Yeah. Actually, it's funny. We had this conversation, me and my boy Jeremy Corrigan, shout out Jay Corgs. We were with the Estevan Bruins in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League on the bus. And what do you do on the bus? You talk about stupid hockey stuff. And 100%. He asked me the one time, he's like, as a Leafs fan, like, who's your favorite, like, grinder, like, guy that nobody else would talk about? And I'm like, immediately, Jay McClement. Jay McClement was my favorite guy for years. And eventually for Christmas, he had me for Secret Santa, gets me a Jay McClement t-shirt. I still have it in my drawer over there. Love that guy.
That's amazing.
So definitely, those are some of my favorite conversations. Speaking of that, if you look behind me, I don't know if you can see, but I have an Adam Brooks Leafs jersey on my wall. Now, again, I told you earlier I was a Regina Pats employee while he was there.
Okay.
Do you have any weird jerseys in your repertoire, in your arsenal? Do you have any? Because I know with Bardown and stuff, I'm sure you guys have a lot of weird content you guys have made over the years. Maybe you've collected some things. Mm-hmm. Is there a weird one in your closet?
That's a great question. I'm trying to think of maybe the weirdest jersey I have. Ooh.
Sure, it can be a piece of merchandise.
Yeah.
Really.
Ooh,
Max, you got one while Luca's thinking?
Yeah.
Oh, for jerseys for my own closet?
Yeah, anything you got over there.
Well, see, I have legendary jerseys. I've got the eggplant and the 03 cup patch Paul Korea.
I love those.
I got the matching set. So, like, I don't know about obscure.
You only go big, hey?
I only go big. I got Pecorine, I got Yos, I got a few of my faves, but
I love that.
Obscure guys.
I think as far as like a t-shirt jersey goes, when I went to Colorado, and this is at the time they weren't like amazing, and watched a game, I got an Adam Foote t-shirt. It's kind of obscure, but not really. But like he was kind of on his last leg, still playing for the Avs. Jerseys, I have a lot of just random jerseys that like an Avalanche fan probably shouldn't have. Like my dad got me a Fleury jersey one year for Christmas, so I've got a Marc-Andre Fleury Golden Knights jersey in my closet. I've got what else do I have? I'm just. It wasn't
last year, was it, Luca? That
no, it wasn't.
That would have been a mean thing to do.
It would have been so mean.
You're unclear.
It would not have been nice. No,
Jamaicans all feel really old too. You mentioned Adam Foote. Now both of his sons are in the NHL basically now. So now we all feel really old. That's good.
Insane. Insane. Yeah, I don't know. I've always wanted to get like a very obscure player though, because like I feel like those jerseys can always be appreciated more by the fans that get it. And so I don't know who it's going to be, but I've always wanted an Islanders fisherman jersey, and it might be Ziggy Palffy. That's the one I've been looking for. And so we'll see if that happens. That might be my best obscure one.
Get a Mark Parrish fisherman jersey.
Ooh, that's a good one too. That's a really good one.
So we can't let you go without just some hockey. So just some hockey talk. And as we're talking here, I'm just watching my Maple Leafs blow a lead.
Don't do that, Clark. I thought you learned. Don't do it.
They blew a lead and they just scored 2 goals in like 48 seconds to come back and take the lead back. So
of course they did. That sounds exactly like the Maple Leafs I know.
Austin Matthews, William Nylander. It is what it is. But there's obviously a trade deadline coming up. I'm sure you guys are wrapping up some content for that. The easy question, I guess I should say, is like, who's the top target? Who's the team you think is going to actually be able to make the most noise? Because we've been talking about it for months. There's a lot of cap strap teams. Kyle Dubas has even come out and said, like, we probably have one trade and that's it. Like, we don't have much room to work with more than one. So is there a team out there that you think could maybe make a couple moves and make a real big push here at the end of the season?
I'm hoping like the Avs make something, but again, they're one of those cap teams that I'm not sure. If Calgary's got another move in them, then they've made 2 great ones because Toffoli has just been unbelievable since joining them. I feel like Florida's going to do something. I'm not sure what, but it seems like they've got assets if they want it. They've got draft picks, and I think like the Rangers are another team because I've heard Florida now is the front runner for Giroux, which sucks. Like I really want the Avs to get him,
like
but
the perfect fit, fit for the Avs.
I know they need a guy that can actually win faceoffs because that's the area that they definitely lack in the most, and so it'd be great. But yeah, I'm not sure. It really does seem like spread out with a lot of teams kind of vying for these guys, and if one does get them, you think that, yeah, you know what, that's probably it for that team because they've given up a first and probably another asset and they're probably done. So I like it that there's a lot of teams in on these guys, but I don't know who will make like 2 moves. I could see Calgary doing it. I feel like they might be the team to do it. I don't know. Like Tampa Bay can't do anything, right? But I wouldn't be surprised. But they will. So they'll find a way. Like, it's crazy. I'm really excited. It feels like there's a lot of different possibilities, and like just when the trade deadline is over and done with, I'm really excited to see what the landscape of the league is after it's done.
I'm calling it now. Mark Giordano back to Calgary, and that's their big move. I'm thinking that's going to happen.
I like it.
I think it'll be fun. Who are your top few teams that you think? I mean, I can tell which one you're going to say already, and I would agree with you. But like, who are your top few teams that you think are really in it this year? Really in it?
Really in it. So we just did a podcast about kind of this. So I guess like in the East is so tough. Like the playoffs have basically been set in the East for months. So I'll start with the West. I only think there are 3 teams in the West that you take seriously, and that's Colorado, Calgary, and Vegas. If they can figure out what's going on, because they look like they're struggling a little bit in the playoffs. They'll get Mark Stone back, you presume, but they got to get there first. Like they really have been struggling to the point where they're kind of battling with Edmonton. And I guess whoever else is coming out of that division for that third spot or a wild card spot. So I'd say those 3 teams in the West, and then in the East, Tampa, Florida, Toronto. I'd put Boston in that group. I'd put Carolina in that group. I'd put the Penguins in that group as well. Like I could legitimately see any of those 6 teams winning, and it wouldn't shock me. It would shock me if the Rangers or the Capitals came out of the East and went to a Stanley Cup final or made a run. It shocked me a little more just because of how many good teams they'd have to go through. But the West is definitely like, if you're Colorado and you make a move, you're probably laughing to the Stanley Cup final based on just the depth, and you got to just beat one team probably that's pretty good in Calgary or Vegas.
Well, Luca, at the risk of you not wanting to ever come back on with us because you've been so generous with your time tonight, especially on the night where the Avs are playing, we thank you so very much.
They lost.
Oh, shoot. Well, hey, you're only 18 points up in the Central now. Damn.
I know, right? Coming off a back-to-back too, it's okay.
That's a tough one. Tough one for the gamblers on the back-to-back. But one last final
don't
one.
Don't tell Calvin Ridley.
Oh, yeah. Don't.
Keep it away from him.
Yeah.
But the Stranger Things canvas poster on your wall, I can only assume you're a movie and TV show guy. Are you Marvel, DC? What is Stranger Things the all-time favorite show? What's on the screen when it's not sports for you?
Great question. So me and my girlfriend right now are watching New Girl. I've seen most of it, but haven't watched all of it. It's hilarious. I love it. She's really into it now. Yeah. She got me into Stranger Things. And so we watched, I hadn't watched any seasons. She had watched all 3. We watched them together and I loved it. And I'm pumped for season 4. We're actually doing a Marvel start to finish. She's seen most of them. but we've gone to Guardians of the Galaxy 2 now. So that was easy over the Christmas holidays. We're finding it a little harder to do right now. So we're trying to make some time for that. She's watched Sex Education, which is a great show. I watched like a couple of episodes, but I want to go back and watch it all because it's unbelievable. What else? I don't even know. There are so many that I haven't watched that people just talk to me about. You guys have any recommendations for me?
A few.
I'm all in. Okay.
Too many. Well, you know what? We'll get into that the next time we have you on. Because man, oh man, this has been a fantastic time. Once again, dude, thanks so much for your time tonight. This has been a blast. And hopefully the next time we chat, it won't be as a result of you getting blasted for, again, a very good take overall. Just one that's got to get below the surface with a lot of fans. So once again, thanks a ton, Luca.
Oh, anytime, guys. Thank you so much for having me. And I'd love to come back on. This has been so much fun.
Murderville on Netflix. That's all I'll say. Murderville.
Okay.
There
we go.
6-part series.
Basic.
So funny though. So funny. Will Arnett, Marshawn Lynch is in it.
I'm already in. There we go. That's all.
If you're into
I'm in.
If you're into the Marvel stuff, Daredevil was really good. It's going to Disney Plus. It was on Netflix. It's a pretty good 3-season.
He's like a good 8 years away from that, and his Marvel.
No. See, that's the thing. Again, we can't do.
Don't get Max started on Marvel.
Don't get me started because I'm a buff. It's a bit of a problem, as my girlfriend would say.
Oh, I love it. I can't wait to come back and talk about it once I've finally caught up to a decent place too.
Good stuff.
We'll be staying in touch. Luca, thanks for checking in. We'll talk again soon. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks. Man.
Anytime. Take care, guys.
All right. There we go. Luca Celebre, Unreal Talk.